So, we have a superhero movie with a character who's strong, another that stretches, another one that's super fast, and another one that can turn invisible and create invisible force fields, and a baby who has powers that no one can explain. It's set in the 1960s, tells a heartful story about family, and has an underground villain, and is scored. The music's composed by Michael Giacchino. You know what I'm talking about, right? The Incredibles. Nah, I'm just playing. It's literally the new Fantastic Four movie. You see the resemblance? This movie fully commits to the 1960s futuristic retro style, and I mean that in the best way possible. Between the flying cars, the old school tech, the made little robot, it gave me the Jetson vibes, but takes place in the MCU. But it actually reminds me a lot of Superman, and it's funny because both of them actually came out in the same month. Their production started a little like one after the other. Both lean into like the whole space vibe, big-hearted storytelling, and a very stylized villain. If the Incredibles and the Jetsons and a few traits of the Superman movie had a baby, this would be it. Let's talk about what worked with this movie. What worked with this movie? A lot of people complained about this because the whole gender switching of changing from, male Silver Surfer to a woman Silver Surfer, and people were just like, why? But this works. How they depict her and how they actually make her blend in with the story, it actually fully does work, and it adds so many more layers to the story. And Julia Gardner, I love her as an actress. She's going to be in this next movie coming out in August called Weapons. Looks interesting. And she really gets the Shia Ball, that's the name of her, the female Silver Surfer. She really gets the characteristics down, and just how her emotions with the character hit, like the impact, it's so good. Every time she's on screen, it's intense, it's just brilliant, and she looks fairly stunning, if I may say so myself. And can we talk about Galactus? Galactus, the devourer of Earths, the gigantic humanoid that can reduce his size to 16 stories. You guys can fact check that because I know the number's kind of close to there. He wasn't a cloud. He wasn't. I was so relieved. But in all seriousness, he was very terrifying. Like his presence, as soon as it came on the screen. If you guys can, watch this in IMAX, because just when he appears, it's so menacing, terrifying, it's so bone-chilling. Like, it gave me goosebumps. Just his voice, just his demeanor, just everything was just so intense. And the score, perfect, beautiful. It's funny, because Michael, who made the score, he made the score for The Incredibles, and it actually shows, because it has a couple resemblance to, the traits of The Incredibles. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but well, a lot of people don't know this. The Incredibles, with the time jump, when Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl have kids, with the time jump, they're already in the 60s. They don't say it. You just have to catch it. It blew my mind from when I rewatched it. But going back to the score, Michael brings in that heroic, heartwarming score that the MCU was just missing. For a bit, because the Thunderbolts was heartwarming too. If you guys haven't seen that, please check it out. And this isn't really a spoiler, but in the movie Fantastic Four, just everything from like the designs, the ship, just everything that they had was just 4 for 4, Wendy's, Baconator, fries, Frosties, just 4 for 4, just everywhere. It's just, damn. Now I think I need a Baconator Jr. with a Frosty. You ever like dip your fries in? Never mind. But yeah, 4 for 4, Wendy's. That's what I was thinking about when it kept saying for this, for that. But it was a cute little knob to just throw in there because As you can see from the trailers of Fantastic Four, like they're famous because they are the only heroes on this Earth that they're currently at, which is Earth 828. And another thing I missed, which I had to come back and discuss, each Fantastic Four reboot takes place 10 years apart. The original with Chris Evans came out 2005. The one that came out with Michael B. Jordan came out 2015. And this one came out 2025. Random, but kind of nice to see the pattern. But let's get to what didn't work. I'm sorry. So, for those of you who've actually watched the trailers for the Fantastic Four, you'll notice that in a few of the Fantastic Four trailers, they have a lot of scenes and a lot of different characters that, once you do see the movie, they're not in. There's a lot of stuff that they actually kept out. They had a few reshoots that they changed a lot of stuff. So, Fantastic Four ended up being one of the top 5 shortest MCU movies, clocking in at 1 hour and 55 minutes. Another fun fact, it's the same runtime as the original Incredibles. Think about that. But we were missing a villain. We were missing just a lot of other scenes that really progress certain characters, and I'll get back to that when we actually start talking about the characters. You can tell that the movie was shaved down for whatever reason because like the pacing's fast, but the story has a tempo that doesn't make it seem like it's accelerating too quick. But you can feel how like the edits are missing like huge chunks of what story is supposed to be mixed up with that. It really almost feels like a studio cut instead of a director's vision, because the director of this movie, he actually directed a lot of episodes of WandaVision. So you can see where his touch can blend into Fantastic Four, and he read a lot of comics because he did add a lot of comic elements to this. Like, he really genuinely made this Fantastic Four feel like Marvel's first family. It was really heartwarming. It was really great. Just how he wrote everything, how it felt. I love Fantastic Four, and this really made me appreciate it so much more, especially with how he just takes everything from the comic and puts it on screen. I enjoyed it. But yes, there is a CGI baby in this movie. Granted, it's not as bad as the Twilight CGI baby, but it can get that silver medal of weird, distorted looking CGI babies. But talking about the characters, because this goes back to the scene cutting, but we'll get to that in a little bit. I had low expectations of Pedro Pascal playing Reed Richards and Joseph Quinn playing Johnny Storm. And I can honestly, with the utmost respect, sincerely apologize, because Pedro Pascal, I don't know what he drinks in the morning, but he is, any character he plays, he kills. He's so good at this. How he depict Reed, with Reed being super intellectual, slightly awkward, always has plans to figure stuff out, even if said plans are causing and risking the lives of others. Reed is just this chaotic, intelligent man that always has a structure, but a low care for anything else outside of that, as long as the plan comes to fruition. Pedro really does everything right with Reed, and this is honestly the best depiction of Reed I've ever seen. And I don't think anybody will be able to beat that in the future. Like, if we ever get another reboot or remake, like later on in time. And then Joseph Quinn, everything you heard about Johnny Storm, about how he's not a womanizer and all that other stuff, just crumble that up, throw it out. Kobe, just dispose of it, because Joseph Quinn does perfectly at depicting that he's a womanizer. He's more calmer, not really much of the hothead, but just from the storytelling point of where they are in this movie, it doesn't show fully Johnny's most rebellious side, because this movie's tragic. So you have to deal with Johnny, in a tragic situation, and how they really make him important in this movie, and Joseph Quinn just does everything right as Johnny, and I was not expecting that. And Vanessa Kirby, love you, Vanessa Kirby. You got the same last name as Jack Kirby. Wanted to create as a Fantastic Four. Love it. She played very well as Sue Storm. The rumors that you guys hear about her being the leader, no. Honestly, everything that went on with this movie, decisions, everything, even press conferences, was just mainly held by Reed. But her being the heart of the whole group was beautiful. It was lovely. Just how it shows you, this movie shows you how far a mother would go for their child. And how it's depicted from her is just golden. She really did amazing as Sue. And no nosebleeds when she uses her powers. So that's a plus too. And to get into slightly backtracking, how Sue and Johnny, how they depict them using their powers. No spoilers, I'm not going to say what they do, but how they depict them using their powers is so creative and different, especially with Invisible Woman. And I just love the elements that they add to that with their creativity. Sadly, they didn't get that creative with Reed Richards because it's just a standard. I stretch, and it's not getting as creative as original Fantastic Four did with Reed's powers, which broke my heart, but still, Pedro Pascal made up for it by being amazing as Reed. But we have to talk about Ben Grimm. I love Ben Grimm. I love him as the Thing. I love the actor that played him. He's in a show called The Bear. I haven't started that yet, but I'm going to. I hear good things. They gave him the least to do. And that goes back to the edits of how it's noticeable, because there's a lot in the trailers that shows Ben doing more with his character, literally being the rock of the group. They show in trailers and clips of him going on dating shows, trying to, deal with the fact that he looks like this. Granted, they're already 4 years in, but he's still struggling with his appearance. I know most people are okay with them taking that out because we saw that in the original, but in the original they do. Ben Grimm does more in the original than he does in this movie, but I get there's a lot going on, but it still hurts my heart that they lessened him so much. But hopefully in the future we start seeing more of him, and I do hope that we see a Hulk versus the Thing. I can be hopeful. Please let me be hopeful. And I know there's a lot of complaints of people talking about how Doctor Doom isn't in the movie, which is fine. It's understandable. But there are Easter eggs. There's Easter eggs about a lot of villains, but it seems like they shaved off a lot of time with this, because you get word of other villains like the Puppet Master. You get an actual comic accurate Mo-Man, because Mo-Man in the 2015 Fantastic Four, he was in there. A lot of people didn't know that because they were using his actual comic book government name, but he was in this movie and he wasn't Molly of man. He was just a man, a mere mortal. So in this movie, you actually get a good depiction of Mo-Man. I enjoyed it. He reminded me of the Miner from The Incredibles. And with the post-credit scene and the after-credit scene, the post-credit scene could have went harder, but I see what they're actually teasing, which does grab my interest. And the after-credit scene, it's cute. It made me happy for what it was. With this movie, there was a lot happening, and how everything went down was honestly lovely. Everything that you see in this film, or everything that you've heard about of this film, it's a lot of her say, he say, because a lot of stuff that you guys would hear is not what to be expected into this film. And I enjoyed that because I had a mindset of what was happening in this film before I saw it. And then seeing it, I was just like, oh, whoa, okay. That was different. And I actually liked it. So a lot of stuff you've heard from like news articles and everything that I've said prior, just know to expect that this movie is going to be very entertaining. Just like I said, it does bother me that they cut off so much time, that they cut out major villains. John Malkovich was supposed to be in this, but he wasn't. Like him as an actor, saw him in the movie Red, and obviously saw him in other older movies. Not trying to show my age. So at the end of the day's gonna end. But for my final verdict of this movie, after taking it in and seeing it, this movie, the rating is solid with snacks. It's fun, fresh, finally does justice to the Marvel's first family. Even if the movie feels like it wasn't really fully complete. What did you guys think of this reboot? Was this the one that got it right, or do you guys think we're heading to a cosmic destruction like the 2015 film? Drop your own rating below, comment on this video, tell me what you guys thought, what you guys expected, who was your favorite character in this movie? Did you like the tone? Did you like the aesthetic that they were going for? Did you think that this was The Incredibles? Comment below, let me know, and if you like my vibe, like and subscribe. I'm James Hancock, signing off.